So welcome, Inbox Zero, 3 things that keep you drowning and how to resolve that. And I see it spurs some interest, so some of you may be drowning in email. So approximately how much emails do you get per day, week, whatever you would like to say? Is it more like 50 per day?
About right.
Yeah.
About right? So starting up to 250, 300 emails per week. And you're all people that from time to time are traveling, or that have even some hilarious thing like vacation. So you're not here for a couple of days. Then when you come back, how does it feel? Fantastic, isn't it? See, good. So why do we ever want to get to Inbox Zero? So this is the objective, getting to Inbox Zero, but why on earth? Well, really, to gain focus and to feel better. It's so much about how we feel in our work and how we feel about our email. But what keeps you from getting to Inbox Zero? And we want to dive into some of the prerequisites and then into 3 things that actually keep you from getting to Inbox Zero and how to overcome that. And much of this is based on the Getting Things Done methodology. How many of you are familiar with Getting Things Done? All of you? Okay. So all of what I show is based on Getting Things Done, and I will show how I implemented Getting Things Done for me. Which does not necessarily mean that the exact same setup will work for you, but it's what I use for me, and hope that it will be useful for you as well. Now, this is really about the method. It's not about the tool. I mean, everybody of us uses Outlook, so we're all on the same page, but some do feel a pain about emails, and some do not. So it's not about the tool, it's about the methodology. And as a recap, the Getting Things Done methodology is all about first getting the stuff out of your head. It's really the most important principle to me, what I took away from Getting Things Done, writing everything out and keeping nothing in my head. Defining physical next actions, so to overcome that anxiety that undefined stuff still creates in our head. Regularly check open ends and grouping actions according to their context. And especially those 3 items are important for today's session. Now the prerequisite is 5 folders only. Now, I see some laughter, but this is really the single biggest prerequisite in proper dealing with email.
You walked off a couple of digits. So.
Yeah, because, and by the laughing I can see some of you
Still have
that. So,
One more.
humongous amounts of folders, really nice tree structures, which I would almost call art or architecture, and built over felt 100 of years, cathedrals inside your Outlook inbox. And whenever you get a fresh email, you have this fresh email like a small brick, and you have to find out what is the perfect place in my cathedral for that little brick. And folks, this is what causes you trouble. This is what keeps you drowning in email. This exact thing, because you have to find out what specific place in your cathedral is the right one for this email. This is what takes time when placing it, and then later when retrieving it. And so, what Getting Things Done suggests, and also I do suggest, and I successfully have implemented, is only using 5 folders. It may be even just 4 folders if you're not traveling. For me, it's 5 folders because I'm traveling. And I'll walk you through all of these folders. Good. Starting with the reply folder. So I have one folder called reply. And we will go into examples later on, but let me walk you through the 5 folders first. Reply. I put every email that I intend to answer, I put it into the add reply folder. So the physical next action is answer that email, which means directly be able to answer that email. If I need to do some research first, it's probably not the right place for that email. If I need to make a phone call first, it's probably not the right place for that email. The right place for the email in the add reply folder is if I'm really able to instantly start writing. Nothing else. And we will see an example because I did not clear up my Outlook inbox all day long so that we can do some live demo here. So also, which means I don't know what's actually in my inbox. Low risk. Good, next folder, the read offline. Everything that I do not need to answer to, but that I want to read, goes into read offline. Read offline means everything I need to read is in that email. Because I'm traveling, I usually go on train, or even when I'm going on the airplane, I don't have internet access. So it's important that I know exactly which emails I can read without internet connection. Hence, read offline. Similarly, read online. So if I get an email from Bertrand saying, hey, look at this nice report, and it has a link in it, that's clearly a read online, because I need internet connection to be able to actually read that. Because I have to click on a link in that email and do it. Hence, I have a read online folder. If you're not traveling, if you're just here in the office, whenever you're working, you only need, of course, you only need one read folder. So far, so good. Difference between action reply and action read is clear. Which also means the urgency to work through the add read online or add read offline folder is not as high as working through the add reply folder. There are some things that I may need to read more instantly than others, but usually it's enough to get through that folder every couple of days. You have a question?
What would be a good workflow for something that you need to read and then eventually reply? And like, would you just keep it in the inbox, or would you move it to read and then eventually reply?
I would instantly move it to the add reply folder.
Add reply.
Add reply. And we will dive into that also later, because to the add reply folder goes everything that I need to reply that takes longer than 2 minutes to do. David Allen proposes this 2-minute rule, saying do every action instantly if it takes less than 2 minutes. And so if I need to read something first and then reply, it usually will take longer, but I still would put it into the add reply folder. So keep it simple. The main rule is keep it so simple that you never get anxious about what the next step is. You have to keep it so simple that there is no little voice in your head saying, this may be the wrong decision that you're taking right now. Keep it very, very simple, really. Good. Then I have an add wait folder. The add wait folder, physical next action, check in the weekly review. So if I send something to Kevin, and I'm waiting for his reply, and not just waiting at, well, it's nice if he replies, if not, also fine, but if I'm depending on his input, then I will put an email, also my own email, preferably, into the add wait folder. And whenever I get to my getting things done weekly review, I will actually check, did I receive that reply from Kevin? And if not, I want to maybe send him a reminder, or call him, or walk over to him while I'm in dating. So that's the add wait folder. So not everything that I send, or not everything that I may hope for an answer from somebody goes into there, but only things where I depend on somebody else's input.
Mechanics question. Would you then put yourself on a CC in that email so you get a copy to file if you sent it, and that's what kicked off the I need a response? Or
yes, sometimes I do that. So
or would you copy the sent mail into it?
I usually set myself on CC or even BCC, And how I do that is and we can show that in Outlook then, I even did set up an automatic rule in Outlook. So if I get an email where I'm on BCC that came from myself, the only reason for me to do that is I want to file it to the add wait folder. So I have a rule in Outlook that automatically does that. Sounds complicated, but it's really not. Next folder, reference. So your whole cathedral is my reference folder, a flat folder, no substructure. No substructure and no nest action. Whenever I receive something that I want to keep, it goes into the reference folder. Again, no substructure.
So you rely on search.
I rely on search. I will come to that. I heavily rely on research. So why do I do that? Now let's say you're receiving an email that talks about 2 customers or 2 different projects. Where do you put it? Subfolder for project A or for project B? Subfolder for customer A or customer B? Or do you copy it? Do you keep the same email twice? To which email do you then respond? How does that show up in Outlook if you respond to one copy but not to the other? What do you do with big emails? What do you do if it belongs to 2 customers in 3 different projects? Do you create 5 copies of that very same email? See, you create and the decision process for where to keep that email might actually even keep you from moving that file, moving that message out of your inbox. So you leave it in your inbox, and your inbox starts growing. Because the little voice in your head says, it's so difficult, that decision is so difficult, where to put this? I'll just leave it in the inbox and decide later. And the I'll decide later thing is the worst thing that can happen when you try to get through your inbox. Because whenever you leave something in your inbox, it most likely will stick there for a couple of days, weeks, months. And if you have been there, I can see people smiling, you can quickly pile up thousands of emails. Thousands and thousands. Until you have to declare email bankruptcy. And I know people who have done that, said, okay, I declare email bankruptcy, I'm not able to further process my emails. I have to delete everything and rely on people complaining if they need something.
December 31st, reboot.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, you've never even to this point even hinted at the use of the delete folder.
That's the next important thing. It's not a folder for me, it's a function. It's not a folder for me. But it's the most important function that exists in Outlook, is the ability to delete emails, obviously. But first, I want to highlight a bonus folder which exists for travelers. I also maintain a travel folder, which I put every information about ongoing travel, like receipts that I get emailed, or itineraries that I get, flight reservations. I put all that in a travel folder just because I want to quickly access that also on my mobile phone without any search function and have everything in place. If I'm at the airport, I want to quickly pull my my boarding pass without the need to use any search function. That's the whole reason.
How do you cycle that? Because I may be booking my next trip before I finish the trip I'm on.
Which is fine. I will delete whatever I no longer need. So once I boarded or once I landed, I will delete the boarding pass. Once I'm checked into the hotel, I will delete the hotel reservation. Once I submitted my travel expenses, I will delete the receipt. I will delete that. Because remember, deleting in Outlook keeps it in your trash bin, for 30 days or so. So even if there's something wrong with your travel expenses, you can still go back then for a couple of days and resolve it from that. Because you don't need those receipts. You don't need to know what exact hotel you booked a year ago. It's worthless. You don't need that. And especially in times when I don't know about you guys, but we in Europe use Egencia, these days. So I have all that online. I don't need to keep the emails. I have it in some other system.
Do you ever clean up your reference folder?
Um,
Or is it just
I
once
used,
a year?
I used to clean it up once a year. Given that we now with Outlook 2013 have this archiving functionality, as far as I understood, I would no longer need to do that. I may be wrong, but it looks to me like I would no longer need to do that. What I do is I use the MATLAB app for detaching attachments from the emails every couple of months, which greatly reduces the size of my email inbox. So we have a great app for deleting or detaching Outlook attachments. I think it's either in CRE or it's even on File Exchanger. Are you the author or is Jiro? I think it could be Jiro.
Jira within a system.
Could be Jiro, yeah. So that works greatly. Formerly I used some third-party Outlook attachment remover, which no longer works with Outlook 2013, but that MATLAB app I think is unchanged since 8 years or so. Works like a charm. Highly recommend that. So if you have MATLAB installed, use that. If you have not MATLAB installed, shame on you. Good. Using getting things done specifically on that emails. Well, and we will now dive into the 4D method, which also involves the deletion heavily. And it's really those 4Ds: delete, do, delegate, defer. And that's in that priority. So the top priority is deleting emails. Top priority. I delete most of the emails I get. And some of them I even delete without reading. That's fine. Don't feel guilty about that. It's okay. Not every email is relevant for you. And the way how I do that, actually we should dive into my Outlook inbox now. This is probably the right moment. And this is a very surprising moment for me as well, because I haven't been to my Outlook inbox for quite some while now. So let me open. So how do we do that? Okay. So Lauren says something about RoboCop survival dinner. Brian is out sick today. Changes lunch tomorrow, dinner Thursday. I already spoke with Lauren after that, so I simply can delete that email. Next, something from an external customer that I probably would like to reply to. So I move it to my reply folder. Now an important point comes. You need to learn keyboard shortcuts in Outlook. You need to. Because if you have to move your arm to the mouse every couple of seconds and back, first of all, it takes a lot of time, moving time. And don't laugh, if you pile it up over a couple of hundreds of emails, it piles up. And also, you can carry injuries on your arm if you do that year long. My father had that. It's similar to a tennis arm. Who had that? Carpal tunnel syndrome? Or some other strain? Some had it, some had it. It's because of the constant movement from keyboard to mouse, keyboard to mouse, keyboard to mouse. Stop that. Learn keyboard shortcuts. Keyboard shortcut for moving the email is Control-Shift-V. Move it to my add reply folder. So German for reply is antworten, which is why it's called antworten. So I want to reply to that customer. SharePoint admin asks me to do something about please visit page, provide your console rating and feedback now. What is that? Is that reply? Or what is that?
Wait.
Wait? Why wait? I think I need to do something.
It's reply.
But I don't need to reply.
Oh, it's,
What I need to do is actually, I need to create an action from it.
yeah.
So I drag it on my tasks folder, and I create an action from it. And I say, provide feedback on this case. And the task's context is I need to be online because I need to be able to click on that link. Save it. save it, delete that email. Done. It's just about, it's not about doing all this stuff, it's just about getting the inbox to 0. That's the goal at the moment. Okay. Bum, 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 bum. So we have a thank you email. Now, this email depends on how proud you are. So I could either archive that email or I could delete that email.
It's a Frenchman, delete it.
Probably. Well, actually, I might want to follow up on that later, so I will just reference that. So, if you're still a mouse user and you regularly will reference emails, I actually created a quick action on that. Or a quick step. Who uses quick steps in Outlook? One, you need to familiarize yourself with quick steps. It's the thing in Outlook, central on your top screen here. I have a link here or a button, which is a quick step for filing into reference material. I only click on that, and that email is in the reference material. One click, which is okay for me, because when I'm on the here on the laptop, I don't need to move my hand to the mouse, but I actually can use the little dot, the little red dot here. I don't need to move my hands, so that's fine. So next one is something from Philip that I want to talk with him about. And I have another quick step, which is create a task from that email. Dropping on my task folder, creating a task, and afterwards deleting the email. So I simply click on create task from the email. I say I want to speak with Philip about that. And put it into my add agendas task system. So I'm not interested in that event report. I was just on CC on that email. I don't need to keep that. The newsletter from one of our former student teams, someone on my team receives that as well, so I delete that. Question?
So you said you're just on CC on an email. Don't you still have to read it?
Not on that event report.
Oh, okay. So you know what it's about.
Yeah, I saw from the customer name that it's a commercial customer. It's not from Germany. And sorry, I only have limited time, so I won't read it right
Okay.
now.
So you don't just delete everything you're CC'd on?
No.
Okay.
But of course not, because some people do not properly use CC. They CC you, but then in the email text they want something from you. So I usually do not categorically delete CC'd emails. So here's an email from Stacy, who asked me to print a sign-in sheet for this very session, which I have not yet printed because I haven't been to my email all day long. So what I will just do is, I hope all of you here, you accepted the Outlook invite that you got. So what I will do is not use that sign-in sheet, but rather send Stacy the excerpt from Outlook. Which may have some people which agreed to the invitation but are not here yet, but that's, I think, a measurement inaccuracy that we are willing to accept. But I definitely need to answer her on that. Canceling a meeting, which I already declined earlier, so I don't need to keep that. We have a whole, so important thing here, you see, just the whole thread popped up. How many of you use Outlook in the threaded view?
I just tried it and I got confused.
You got confused, why?
I don't know, I wasn't used to it, my brain wasn't used to looking at it, so
Okay.
I switched back.
So the nice thing here is really, if I click on one email of that, I see the whole string. So that conversation will only pop up in my inbox once. Very important. I have less email to deal with. Because if I want to ignore that whole string, I can do so with one click. If I want to reply to it, I can seek for the latest email in that string.
The problem with me came when I tried to reply to a couple of them, I wasn't sure which one to reply to, and it got a little confusing.
Exactly, and so what you can do is, you can right-click on it and say clean up conversation.
Will it only do that if people have been good about replying to the latest? Will it not, if you get a branch?
You will see all the branches here as well. So you see, you even have some branches. Because there was an original email, I replied to it, Emily replied to it, Todd replied to his own email, I sent something, and here's the whole sequence that was in the conversation in the inbox. But it only kept that one instance in my inbox because it was reply to reply to reply. And so the cleanup process deleted 3 of those 4 emails because 3 of those emails are contained in the last one. So do make use of the right-click cleanup conversation functionality in Outlook. It works really well. And you see, by the grouping here, I have the whole conversation on my fingertips. Do I need to show how to set up this grouping in Outlook? Shall I show that?
Sure.
Okay. If you go to the View menu, go to View Settings, say Group by Conversation. That's all. That's all. And now here comes the important point. You saw 4 emails. And when you don't watch out and you don't have it in grouped, you may quickly jump to reply to that email, but miss that there are later conversations also on that very thread. Now here's a very important information. What's the last email in that thread? It says done. So the only thing I do is I scroll down and Todd says, okay, thank you. Okay, this is clear. So it seems they resolved that. So the only thing I will do is I will archive that in case there are later follow-up questions. I don't need to do anything with it. Question?
If you have a conversation and one of the earlier messages in the conversation that gets deleted when you clean up the conversation has an attachment in it, do you lose the attachment?
No, the attachment will be transferred to the
To the latest one.
So the cleanup conversation ensures that you do not swipe any information, including attachments.
Okay.
It will take care of
Because
that.
a lot of times attachments in the first
Exactly.
email and then
But
the replies don't
you-
have it.
It either will keep that very first email also, or it will attach that attachment to the latest email. So Outlook is intelligent enough to maintain that.
Are those are folders, right? They're not filters?
Which ones?
At read, at reply.
Those are physical folders.
Physical
yes.
folders, so you're
Physical
physically
folders.
moving the message. So when you
Yes.
move something to the reference,
Yeah, it still will get found by this
the
thread.
thread
Yes.
figures that, okay.
Because when we look at, let's maybe do that. We will see that in a later email. So another event report, MBDA DO178 meeting. Could be interesting, but really is not. And you know, it's your time, you have finite time. Your day is 24 hours plus the night. So that means you will not be able to read every email that comes to your inbox. And that event report, I know at a night, it might have been hilarious and interesting and insightful, but I can't care. I'm an edu, and my customers, I know one of them, my best professor at TU Munich, he does DO178B, but my educators, they don't do DO178B, so there is nothing applicable for me in that email. Rocco.
Is there a function where you can hit the cleanup button for all of the conversations that you currently own in your archive? That would be
Clean up all.
clean up all
Okay.
conversations? What do you know?
You select all first. I selected all?
Yeah.
or even in that cleanup menu on the left, it has cleanup, this conversation, cleanup folder.
Might take a little longer, right?
The cleanup folder is another thing. That's in the trash bin to empty the trash bin. That's a different thing. But yes, absolutely possible.
Thank you.
So are you online right now and continuing to receive emails in this process?
Yes. I do not need to be, but it's okay. It's okay. Okay, keep going. Maureen invites me to a lunch on Wednesday. Unfortunately, I will be no longer in Natick. Be in Natick on Wed. Sorry, Joachim.
If you're buying, Rocco will go instead.
Done. But you see the process. Keep going, keep going, keep going. It's just keep going until you're finished. I won't do that exercise now to the very finish, but I no longer have anxiety when getting back from vacation. And you know, I'm from Germany, so I can do 2-week vacations.
You can do more than that.
I can do more than that, so I can do 3-week vacations. Which means most likely I will have 1,000 emails in my inbox. Before I had getting things done, I would feel certain anxiety and say, ooh, there's a big pile waiting on me when I get back to the office. Not so much any longer. Because I know I can dive through 600 emails in just 1.5 hours. No problem. I can get my inbox back to 0 in 2 hours after vacation. Which does not mean that I have done everything that's in that email.
Right.
But I can get back to 0 and have a complete overview of what's going on. And then, only then, after I'm at inbox 0, only then dive into, let's say, the add reply folder, start replying. Go into my task system in Outlook and do whatever I should do. Only after my inbox has been back to 0.
I saw you use tasks to ensure that
Yes.
it doesn't get lost.
Yes.
I didn't see you creating any time for that in terms of booking an appointment with yourself or otherwise. Do you have standing appointments you use to ensure this happens? Do you just have white space in your calendar that lets this
I
happen?
ensure that I do have white space. I do have white space. I don't do while I'm here in Natick now because I want to meet as many people as possible. But I have a white space, let's say, on Wednesday to ensure that I can get back on top of my task list.
How often do you, is this a once a day thing, twice a day thing to go through your inbox?
Most days it's 3 times a day, not more often. Which also educates the people that I'm working with that email is not a synchronous medium for me. Because some people think if you write them an email and they will call you up 5 minutes later and say, hey, did you read my email? I didn't see a reply yet. I say, look, email is an asynchronous medium. If you need me to get something done right now, you'd better give me a call or chat me. Email is an asynchronous medium. It's okay to assume that you will get a reply if necessary within, I don't know, 24, 36 hours. But if you need a reply now, you'd better use another method of communication. And you can train your colleagues on that by just working on that. And if they regularly come to you and say, why didn't you reply to my email? I just say, well, I did not yet look into my email program yet because it's not after lunch break. Because I usually do a first round at 10 a.m. after I already have a couple of hours doing the stuff that I really need to get done. And the first time of the day I look into my email is most likely between 9 and 10 a.m. Then one round after lunch. Then one round, let's say about 4 p.m., 5 p.m. Just 3 times a day, that's enough. So delete, do delegate, delegate also to yourself. So when I create a task from an email, that's delegation. Could also, of course, be delegation by forwarding to somebody else who's better equipped to work on that. Or defer to your calendar, to your task list, whatsoever. but delete a lot. And also delete many of the things that you formerly would put into your cathedral. Because if you're no longer intending to build a cathedral, you don't need to keep every brick. You see, if you want to build a cathedral, of course, you want to keep every brick and you want to archive every email that you get. I don't build a cathedral, so I don't need all the bricks. I just throw them away. They're waste for me. And since only a few of us are in the legal business, we don't need to keep all that much email. I never say never. I rarely miss any email that I delete. Has never happened so far. Also, I never need to cover my ass for something. I don't feel the urge to cover my ass, so I don't need to keep that many emails. So I don't need to be able to say, yeah, but Kevin said this, and this is why I did that. If Kevin and I are okay, or if I'm okay with the things that I do, I don't need to keep track of the whole conversation flow. I don't need that. You only need to extensively archive email if you need to cover your ass, or if you feel you need to cover your ass. If you're self-confident, it becomes all a lot easier. So, coming to the difficulties. First is the difficulty of the 2-minute rule. That's a difficulty. Because in many cases, you will say, I can instantly answer that email because it will take me less than 2 minutes. 2 minutes is not a long time. Especially not if you say, I can instantly reply to that email, I just need to look up that one thing on the intranet. Bad idea. If you need to look something up, it's most likely not a less than 2-minute action. Put it into your add reply folder, or yet better, create an action from it which says research on the intranet fact XYZ. Then reply. Use the 2 minutes timer, which I just could not start because I just found it a couple of days ago. Do not constantly have it switched on, which is simply an app that you say start, counts down from 2 minutes, and so you can get a feeling on how short 2 minutes really are. And if you hit the 2-minute line while doing the instant reply, stop replying. It's in your drafts folder. It's okay. Move that email to the add reply folder. You will find it there. It's in the drafts. It's okay. It's not lost. But stop after 2 minutes. Stop it. Important thing, stop it. Because if you don't stop it, you're back in the mood of piling up on your email again. If you try to resolve everything that's in your inbox, you will not get to inbox 0. Batching means first getting to inbox 0, then working on whatever was in there. Difficulty of the 2-minute rule. Question on the difficulty of the 2-minute rule? Objections? Usually I get objections when talking about the 2-minute rule. Not here?
Understand it in theory, yes.
Yeah. And that's an important thing. Humans are awful in estimating how long a task will take. So it takes a lot of practice to really know how long or how short are 2 minutes. Even if you know you don't need any research, you just need to write. So 2 minutes are enough to craft, let's say, 2 sentences well written. If your reply needs to be longer, most likely not a 2-minute email. Don't do it. Don't do it instantly. If you write more than 2 sentences, and a good written email is a 2 sentences. That's it. You can't get anything more done in 2 minutes.
What's your process for handling things, like when you're writing an email and it triggers other things you need to do? Do you do them in the moment in capturing Outlook, or you keep a note and then?
I keep a note. I create myself a task.
Okay.
Creating a task in Outlook is which keyboard shortcut?
Control-T.
Control-T. In German it's Control-Shift-K. I don't know why. But Control-T is right. Yeah, Control-T. Use Control-T a lot. Create tasks like hell. And do not create tasks that say, do this and this. Create 2 tasks. Very important. 1 task per one action, because it gives you a greater level of achievement when you can tick off that task and you can tick off another task. It feels better.
I'm trying to kind of find a nice way to say, but doesn't emptying out my inbox and creating a stack of tasks just move the problem from one folder to another, in theory?
No, because full inbox is stuff where you don't know what you have to do. But when you create a task, so I'm not creating a task which says demo project, that's not a task. A task would be enter that demo project into CRE. That would be a task. A task is anything where you do not have to think any longer what to do. It is something where you can instantly start with execution of that. So it's a defined next action. That's the difference. Email is just random stuff, and a task is where you exactly have defined what you will have to do.
I guess it might be psychological, but I'm more afraid of having decided this is what needs to be done, creating a task, and not completing that, than never moving that email.
Yeah,
So
I can see. I've had that with other people before, yes. In the first couple of weeks, it can be frightening to see what you really have to do over the course of a week. This can be very frightening. However, it's better if you have very well defined what you have to do, because then you can just go and execute, and it goes a lot quicker if you know. Because if you do not yet have defined what exactly to do, it creates an anxiety in your mind.
plus, if you're working out of your inbox, it's dynamic and it's changing as you're working.
Yeah, there's more things coming in.
And then that's anxiety, because did that new thing that came in, is that
Exactly.
more important?
Exactly.
But if you're working
And-
on
and
a
also-
task list, it's-
And also, if you're working on difficult problems, one in a row, writing emails to customers, to colleagues, creating stuff, and right in the midst of that, all the time have to decide what is the physical next action on my next email, that can quickly create decision fatigue. And once you've done your inbox and you're down to 0, it's okay. Go fetch a coffee. Refresh a little bit, because you will have taken a lot of decisions, and you may feel decision fatigue there. But then when working on the task that you define, there's none of that decisions to be made. So you will not face decision fatigue in that stage.
So when you're done that, each time during the day, do you actually close your inbox?
Yes. Yes.
So you go through it, get to 0,
Yes.
close it.
Also, what I have is I have no pop-ups when emails come in. My mouse arrow does not change. I have no sounds. I have nothing. Also on my smartphone, there's no vibration when email. There's no notification whatsoever that email comes in, which keeps me focused to whatever I'm just doing, and also keeps me from constantly looking in my inbox. No notification whatsoever.
When you created a task, I saw you didn't set any timelines for it or due dates. How
Yeah.
does that process work for you? Like, you're just creating tasks, but
Yeah.
how do you prioritize them?
Since I categorize my tasks into contexts, as the Getting Things Done methodology suggests, I have a contextualized task list, and I may show you that. Actually, let's go to the task list. Go to View and collapse all groups. So I have agendas, I have computer offline, online, similar. I have items I must do at home, items for which I must be in the office, waiting for. Currently have no errands, otherwise you would see the errands category as well. I have waiting for, I have projects, and I have someday maybe. And so, whenever I have some free time in my calendar, I go to my task list and start working on those tasks. You see in any given category, other than someday maybe, there are less than 30 items. And you can very well see on these 30 items which one you want or have to work next without any timeline. I will give a timeline if there is a strict due date for a task. Then I will assign a due date. I say I must get this done by Wednesday, 12 p.m. I will assign a due date. Otherwise not. Because a due date, which is not a strict due date, just deteriorates your whole system. And you will have to start shifting due dates if you don't get to it, which creates a whole lot more overhead. It makes you work even harder without achieving anything. That's why.
Does anything from due date or otherwise make it into the calendar? So you said you just had Wednesday. So if a due date didn't line up on the Wednesday where you have white space.
Yeah. If I know I need to work on something and my schedule is relatively tight and I need to get it by Wednesday, I will actually put it on my calendar. I don't do this by default because also there I will need to start shifting appointments with myself over and over and over. So I don't usually do it. I only do that if I know I must get this done by Wednesday noon. If I don't get this done, the world will will end revolving. So I better get it on my calendar and really do it. This is the only.
But that's an exception, not the rule.
It's an exception. It's an exception. I will usually not put tasks on my on that. Good. Next difficulty is the difficulty of decision. It's really decision fatigue or decision aversion. And it comes from not exactly knowing what you should be doing or where to put your email. Again, to come back to the cathedral, if you're not able to instantly decide which folder to put your email into, over time this creates decision fatigue. You will leave the email in your inbox. Say, I don't know really where to put this email now. I'll decide later. Each time you say, I'll decide later, that's a bad thing. That's a sign of decision fatigue. And so what getting things done suggests, and I've witnessed this on my own and also on some of my team members that I've introduced to getting things done, is the easier your system gets, the more likely people become to actually take the decisions they need to. Create your system as easy as possible. I only have effectively 5 folders to put my email into. That's simple. Even a child can do that. Because it's only, do you need to reply to that email? Put it into the reply folder. Do I need to read that email? Put it in the read folder. Do I need to do anything with that email at all? No. Do I want to keep it or not? Well, yes, okay, put it in the reference folder. It's easy, it's really easy. And that's why I can move relatively quickly through my inbox without creating any decision fatigue. It's easy. Do I need to do something outside my email program with that email? Create a task. That's the only time when I really have to think about what exactly is the task, because oh, there's something to do for me in that email. And that's the time where when you need to be really specific, like I was before. Review that business case, which means opening up that document, commenting on it. Very specific, a physical next action. Planning Rocco's birthday party, not a physical next action. Not a physical next action. Call up one of his team members, also not a physical next action. Look into the org chart to find out one team member on his team. That's a physical next action. Be as specific as possible. And that's the hard part when being on it. But the sooner you take the decision, the faster you are in cleaning out your inbox. And it's all about speed. You want to get to inbox zero to actually have email off your desk and be able to work, because MathWorks does not pay you for staying in your inbox all day long. We all get paid for very different things other than email. Email is just the hammer that we use. So far on decision fatigue and difficulty of decision. Third, or staying there. Because whenever an email comes in, I only have 5 options. There's only 5 things I can do with that email. This is it. Not read and delete. You saw me doing that on a couple of emails. It's okay. Don't feel guilty. It's okay. Especially when emails go out to larger lists of people. It's okay to delete that unread. A lot of people hit reply all on every email that they reply to. It's a bad habit, but many of us are doing that. But that frees me from the obligation to read all of that emails. It's okay. I can read and then delete, because I have read it. If the information was relevant to me, I still don't need to keep it, because I have it. So, okay, acknowledged. I don't need to keep that email. If I get an email about, oh, the pre-release is now available to customers, why would I need to keep that email? I know it. Okay, check, done. Don't need to keep that, because I don't need the information in that email, because if I want to get back to what is in the pre-release, well, what do? I go to Inside, and right there is the link. I don't need to keep that email. Archive, clear. Reply, also, or do something other than reply.
So number 5 is create a task.
Number 5 is create a task, yeah. Or, if it's likely to take less than 2 minutes, right away do it. It may also be an instant phone call. Watch out, phone calls can quickly go longer than 2 minutes. But if you're sure, I'm calling Bertrand to say, Bertrand, can you quickly tell me, has this with the distributor being resolved, yes or no? Bertrand says, yes, it has been resolved. Thank you, done, delete email. That's all. Difficulty of deleting. Now this is big. This is big in a lot of organizations, and this is big in MathWorks too. Do I really need to cover my eyes on all of those emails? Do I need to keep the flow of a conversation before we reach a decision or consensus or whatsoever? Do I need to keep that? Do I need to keep track on who said what when? Most likely not. We're a collaborative environment. I don't need to keep all that. Rarely. I sometimes wanna keep examples to identify patterns, because also I'm in the people management business, so I want to keep track of certain examples what they mean. Not of all that they said, that's irrelevant to me. But if I see recurring patterns, I want to be able to also pull up examples in case they're asking me when I identify those. So I want to keep that, but usually not. The question is always, will I use this email again? And in many cases, no, I won't. Most of the information that is in the email also is in some other form in the intranet or in the internet. And with the cleanup conversation, it's the question, should I keep this email or another email in that same conversation thread? Be brave, delete more, it's okay. Especially delete more, you will still have it in your trash bin. If you don't delete your trash bin every day, it's okay. You will have that for another 30 days. Just try it out. Delete more, delete a lot more than you previously have done. And then check how often do you need to go to your trash bin. You will find that you never go to your trash bin. Very rarely. Very, very rarely. It's okay.
So how do you make decisions on emails either from customers or about customers? Sometimes it's hard to know if you're going to need to use that again.
So emails from customers, I often drag and drop them into Siebel if they're relevant to the activity that I'm working on. I also did that when being in application engineering. I didn't keep them in my Outlook because it's not emails to me personally, it's emails to MathWorks, so I'd rather keep them in the system where they belong to, which is the CRM. Not each and every reply in an ongoing email conversation, but if it's an important information, I will drag and drop it as an attachment to a single activity. That's where it belongs, and delete it from my folder. Because then also other people, like my sales colleague, has access to that. So same with customers' email. I don't keep that in my inbox. Not relevant for me. More tips. Now here comes the virtual folders and the searches. Why don't I need more architecture? Why don't I need the cathedrals in my reference folder? Because Outlook has a great functionality, which is the Outlook search. Sharing a little secret. So I'm not an engineer, I'm a computer scientist, and that's why I can share that secret with you. How do you think does Outlook sort your emails into physical folders? Well, actually, Outlook keeps a database of all items, of all emails that you get. And if you drag and drop your email into a different folder, what Outlook will do is define a label for that email which says you belong to that folder. When you click on that folder, on one of your folders in your cathedral, you may have noticed in the past that Outlook takes a couple of seconds to actually display the contents of that folder. You know why? Because Outlook executes a query on its internal database which says retrieve all emails which have the label my subfolder in my cathedral. It actually does a query. This is no different than using a search folder. I use search folders like you see down here. I have search folders for all of my team members here. I have search folders for other people that I interact with. You may create search folders for projects that you're working on, which then searches your complete Outlook for email from that person, for email with a certain subject content, regardless of in what physical folder they are. So you will also find emails that you sent on those items. To give you an example, I will have a search folder for my team member Ahmed. So I click on that, and regardless of whether that email is in my add reply folder or in my read folder or in my reference folder, it will show up here. I have every email from that person without the need to go to a folder which is called Ahmed. Same thing. I can keep my, my folder structure flat, but still have the virtues of quickly going to email which is on specific people or projects. Very powerful thing.
So is a search folder basically a saved query, like a search you set up?
A search folder is a saved query.
Okay.
And in Outlook, there's actually no difference in how it operates on a search folder versus a physical folder. Because this also is just a query on the database of all emails that Outlook gets. And this is also why this has the same performance as physical folders in Outlook.
Yeah.
You do not have any performance penalty when using this method.
The rule you use for these folders are emails from that person. That's the rule.
In that case, it's emails from that person. And the way you create that is you go to folder, say new search folder, and then select whatever you need to. So in that case, it's email from specific people. You may also choose to from or to specific people depending on the use case. So I mostly use from specific people. I use custom search folders which has then more more advanced things like certain keywords in the subject line, certain keywords in the body of that email. Use that. Of course now, watch out. Do not create cathedrals of search folders, please. Whenever it takes you longer to search for a certain search folder than actually typing in that search in the query field, makes no sense. Because when I'm in my inbox, I can search the current mailbox, and it even says what's the keyboard shortcut. Control E is the keyboard shortcut. Remember that, Control E, most important keyboard shortcut in Outlook. Control E from Kevin, and I don't actually know whether I have one email from you in my inbox. Ah, not this Kevin, another Kevin. See, there is something. Or subject 2015A, so just in the subject line. You see, there's something still in my deleted folder. Use those virtual folders and use the search functionality. The search functionality in many cases is quicker than you looking for the subfolder in which that email is. By the time you have to click 2 folders in your cathedral to find a certain email, it's quicker to use the search function that Outlook offers. There was a meaning to the cathedrals back when Outlook did perform really bad on searches. And if you've been in the business for quite a while, you remember that time when the search performance of Outlook really was bad. No longer. It's lightning fast anymore. They have done quite some work on that. So let go of your cathedrals. We're not in the cathedral building business anymore. Familiarize yourself with the search functionality in Outlook. We had the group to email threads. We had that already. Use that. Makes scanning through your inbox much quicker. And also, ignoring cleanup conversations. The ignore is great because everybody of us knows you're on, I don't know, some list where people then start replying to each other and having a conversation about a topic that you were not interested when it first came up. And you're certainly not interested when it comes up in your inbox second, third, fourth time. There's a great thing in Outlook. Right-click on that email, say ignore. You will never see that conversation again in your inbox. It doesn't block the sender, it just blocks that email conversation. Fantastic functionality. Fantastic. Because I'm still on some email lists, which are very useful email lists, but if they're discussing about a matter which is irrelevant to me, I do not even want to have to delete the email each time something comes in, because my brain will have to recognize the subject line and see, oh, I'm still not interested in that. No, when I recognize for the first time I'm not interested in that, right-click, ignore, never see it again.
So what happens if the same group of people on the same list starts, another topic? Will you be ignored on that as well?
No, it's just that one conversation.
Okay.
Well, no, but if they use that thread, yes.
Yeah.
If they use that
If
thread.
they use that thread, you're screwed, okay.
Yeah, you will not see that thread.
But that goes to your email bankruptcy. If people really care,
Mhm.
they'll reach out to you in a different way.
Exactly,
Right.
yeah. But when I'm on some technical topic that is on the application engineering list about Symbian projects, I don't need to be on that conversation. I most likely won't be able to add anything useful to it. I may be able to add useful thing to it, but if it's not on my priority currently, I don't need to read all those emails. I know it's embarrassing, but yeah.
I have a question. If you clean up a conversation and then you later go search for that conversation by using one of the sender's names, but they're already cleaned up because they're
Yes.
not the last one that did it,
Yes.
will that still come up for you?
That's a good question. I did not try that. I don't know. Try it out. and tell me. I don't know. Good. Ignoring cleanup, use that. Ignoring conversations, fantastic. I love that functionality in Outlook. It's fantastic.
Rocco, when it cleans it up, they have to go somewhere. Probably all the other messages it didn't need in the active conversation ended up in your trash. If you search, you'll find them.
While they're still in the trash. If you clean up trash, they're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can recover deleted items, I think, for 2 months.
I never did that. I know it's there. I never used that.
If you never clean up your trash, you're going to end up exceeding the limit set by SSG. So once in a while you do.
Yeah,
have to
once in
clean
a
up.
while you do. Yeah, once in a while you do. 2 quick steps.
Muscle memory.
I showed that to you previously. 2 quick steps. So I'm in the business of regularly hiring people. So I have quick steps. So when I see a great person in ATS and I want to invite them to a phone screen, what do? Well, I go to my quick steps and say phone screen EN. It opens the email, pre-populates it with my text. I just change the time slots here, enter the phone number, add the email address, off it goes. 1 minute. Done. If I receive a query or a request from a candidate, yeah, what's the status with my application? How does it look like? And I want to do that in... What do? Is hiring, referring update to HR. Boom. Let me do that, because it also gets deleted then. Hiring, deferring to HR, permanently delete, yes. So see what happened? It opens 2 emails. First, enters the name of my recruiter. I got an inquiry from a candidate. I'm forwarding that to my recruiter. Send that, off you go. This quick step creates a second email, which I reply to that candidate. I just have to replace the name here. Thank you for a requirement, blah, blah, blah. Off you go. 10 seconds. Done.
You couldn't find a way to extract the name automatically?
Outlook can't do that. There are add-ons on Outlook which can do that, but unfortunately Outlook cannot. I looked into that. Of course. Other things I have. I can decline. I have a German phone screen. If you get questions from a customer that rather should go to technical support, I'm sure you do, especially application engineers, to get that all the time. Unfortunately, that's just available in, I have a tech support EN. I have a pre-written email. Dear, name, pre-written email text, which I got from a local tech support manager. Off you go. Don't write that email every time or search for an older email and copy paste. Don't do that. Use quick steps.
Sending Lisa to tech support. That would be funny.
That would be funny, yeah.
So do you have any suggestions on how to move out of the cathedral into the apartment?
Your inbox says 3,000 or 4,000 emails to start.
You could start by taking all of your folders and just moving them into one, reference.
Yes.
That's the first, maybe the first.
Yeah. Yeah. You can do
Right. It
that.
doesn't deal with the inbox, but it deals with the.
You can do that. So what I did, I even did not do that because there is no automatic way in Outlook, or I was too dumb to find one, which says take all emails and move them into one folder. No, I did let sit my cathedral where it was. I created the 5 folders, only worked with them, and after a year or so, I simply deleted my cathedral with everything that was in it. Do not try to do forensic analysis in your cathedral. It's not worth it. Start where you're now. Start with a new system now, and let time do its thing. Your cathedral will become old And if it's old enough, you can tear it down.
What I do is kind of close to what you do, but I've got to implement more of these tactics. I have 3 folders, inbox, a sent, and an archive. So I don't have a cathedral.
Yeah.
The problem is my inbox is the reply, read, everything.
Yeah.
And it's just, I get that paralysis, and I just leave it in.
Exactly,
When I
exactly.
get in the morning, I scroll up and down, oh, that
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
I'll do that one now. You know?
Exactly, and so you randomly access your inbox, and each time you touch an email, you have to decide, what do I have to do with that email? Do I have to reply, to read, to do something else? And since you leave that email in your inbox, your brain has to take a decision on that single email multiple times. And getting things done says only touch a piece of stuff once, only once.
I'm not sure if this is a religious question,
It is.
but the balance between delete or reference. Because I think there's a few of us like, I can't delete this stuff, I can't delete this stuff, but I'm not going to use this stuff. So what motivated you to delete things instead of just throwing them in the reference bin and leaving it as a giant archive?
Getting used to it. It's practice. When you start with it, it will be more difficult to delete things, but it's a muscle. It's a muscle that you train and exercise.
I'm not a very powerful deleter.
Yes, yeah, it's that. It sounds funny, but you can train, you can exercise your delete muscle. It's okay. And it takes practice to become okay. Yeah, it's fine. You saw me deleting a lot of emails that I may have kept 2 years ago or 3 years ago.
So the question is which is more powerful, delete fatigue or decision fatigue?
Yes, I no longer have delete fatigue. It's okay. It's okay.
The decision fatigue never goes away. That's the difference.
So for tasks, do you find that you get most of your tasks through email? Because I only get probably 10 or 15% through email. And all my other tasks, I have to make tasks in order
Yes.
for it to be
Yeah, same for me.
cohesive.
Same for me. Same for me. Most tasks I get from direct conversations with people.
And you do use Outlook as your primary task?
Yes.
Or your only task?
Yes. Yeah, so now we slowly will have some projects in AppTask. So using that as like everybody else. But for my personal organization, I do that completely now.
Yeah, that's the getting things done.
That's the getting things done methodology. And if you want to know how exactly my setup runs, go to Google, look for Getting Things Done or GTD Outlook iPhone. You will find how I do my setup. Ultimately, it is your responsibility to be able to operate in the tools that we use. So every minute, every effort that you take in learning keyboard shortcuts will pay back 100-fold, 1,000-fold over time. But it's really your responsibility to know your tools and to be able to quickly operate in your tools. And if you just keep a cathedral because you do not know how to use Outlook in another way, then sorry, Outlook is most likely your primary tool. Get used to it, master it. This is the biggest leverage that you can take, mastering Outlook most likely. If you're not 100% demo developer or a software developer, the likelihood is that Outlook is your prime tool.
Do you use tags or other categories or labels in Outlook to help you?
Not for emails. I use that for tasks, yes. You saw me doing it. I use the categories in Outlook. I don't do that for email. Further resources, setup guide as said, as a blog post, and I will send around a link to that presentation afterwards. I highly recommend the GTD Times of David Allen Company. The memorandums, which has more wise words like this in it, highly recommend. Print it out and hang it on the wall. And obviously the Getting Things Done book totally transformed my life. Totally transformed my life. Because the objective is really to get to inbox zero. And the reason why we want to get to inbox zero is we want to have a buying right order, which can execute things. That's it.
I like it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good.